Hello, Karen Bonafilio, Outer Realms, Inner Journeys. We have a treat for you today. Her name is Soodabeh. Soodabeh, would you like to say hello to everyone before we start?
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much, Karen, for this beautiful space and the conversation that we are going to have
Oh my
about the
gosh,
angels.
you guys are in for a treat today. I'm telling you. Let me tell you a little bit about her. And I just found out we live in the same hometown. So
We
that was
do.
interesting to find out. All these people that are all in my area. Anyway, she is a motivational speaker. She's an Amazon best-selling author of Emerging You and the memoir Angel Nightingale. She's a holistic registered nurse, Reiki master and teacher, and certified hypnotherapist with over 40 years experience in many healthcare settings. I can't believe you've been doing that for 40 years. You don't look. You must have started as a teen.
Yes, I did.
Um, she calls herself the angel healer, and she helps women to rewire their brain, shift their mindset, connect with angels and spirit guides so they can manifest abundance of health, wealth, joy, and success. And we are in for a treat. So I think I'd like you to tell a little bit about yourself first before I start asking you questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Karen, for
Mhm.
inviting me. I'm so excited to connect with you. I believe
Yeah.
it's just like a divine intervention. It's we live at a time that our world needs more of hope and healing, and
Yes.
I believe that I am one of the many light workers that we are here and to bring more of the hope and healing to the world that needs more and more every day. As you share the introduction, my name is Soodabeh Mokry, and I am here to a meaningful conversation about how I learned about the angelic realm and why is it spirituality and also mindset is important in and the way that we want to live our life and create, manifest everything that we desire. Because we are born in an abundant world. Sometimes we don't think about it, that
Uh-huh.
the world is abundant all around us. But when we look at the nature and everything around us is full of beauty and joy and also peace. So I am excited to connect with you and talk about these beautiful topics that we are going to talk about today.
Okay, and one thing I really want to hit on before we get off is she has a class that we talked about prior to the recording, and I'm really interested in her class, so I'll let her tell you about that toward the end of the program. Okay, so let's just do this real basic. What are angels and what are their purpose? Also, I have heard that there are hierarchies of angels, and a little clarification on that would be really nice too.
That would be great. Yes, there are many levels of angels. We have guardian angels, at least one or two that we are born with. I always say the creator, the source, knew how it would be difficult to live in the 3D reality, in physical
Yes.
form. We have life lessons that we call it challenges or obstacles. And having an spirit, a light being that love us unconditionally, that they help us, guide us, support us, provide for us. And we need that. Living in the physical form, we are born with these guardian angels, magnificent being that they are with us from the very moment that we are born, and they help us transition to the spirit world when it is our time to transition. Before something about the angels, whether we are in physical form or we are talking about the angelic realm, all of us, everything, the being, the animals, the trees, every living and breathing thing, we are all beings of light and love. So we are connected with that divine source. Some people call it universe, higher power, God, whatever that people
Mhm.
believe. No matter who we are, no matter our race, our color of skin, the culture that we grow up, our class, our money, or whatever. We are born with these at least one or two guardian angels that they are with us. And the hierarchy is just from our guardian angels, we go into the realm of seraphim angels, we go into the realm of archangels. Archangels are a higher power and a higher vibration than they are from our guardian angels. And when we talk about archangels, is just Archangel Michael, which is a warrior angels. And when we are feeling of any kind of self-doubt, feeling of fears, archangels that they come into, like Archangel Michael came, I always ask for Archangel Michael for protection, for safety. Archangel Raphael is the archangel of healing. Archangel Zadkiel, actually, he showed up just right before, because every time I do podcasts or whatever I do, I connect with the angelic realm and Archangel
Yes.
Zadkiel, who is the archangel of mercy. And my whole body started shivering and chills as he came, because he's here to bring the message of mercy, the message of hope, the message of healing. And that is one of the reasons that I show up on social media or podcast interviews like this. And
Mhm.
then we have spirit guides, we have masters, teachers. They come with people, and when I say people and they come, it means that we ask for them. For example, for you
Oh.
as a teacher, not just being a teacher of teaching in a classroom, but as we talked about it before we started this, connecting that you are a born teacher. That's why you are having this podcast. That's why you wrote
Mhm.
books, because you are a born teacher. You're a born leader. For the people that they are teachers, they choose purposefully, they choose living in life, in this 3D reality, to
Mhm.
become a teacher, to become a healer, to become the leader in the community. Is we have masters and teachers that they are higher vibrational being, that they work with us, and that's how we write, that's how we express, that's how we speak. I hope that I answer your question. I go to a lot of
No,
stuff
no,
to
you
just
did. You did. That's perfect.
yes.
I just know that when every day I talk to my heavenly team,
Mm-hmm.
and when you say guardian angels, can that be also birth angels? Is that synonymous?
I am not sure about birth angel that you are referring to. So there are guardian angels, they never have lived in a physical form. And then we have our loved ones that they live, like our family. My brother, for example, that passed away, my father passed away, my grandparents. They could be my guardian angel and help me to navigate through life, but they are not the way, the exactly as guardian angel that we are born. They are with us, they come and they transition us. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, because I know that I thank my birth. I call them birth angels. I
Mm-hmm.
thank them because I know there were two or three times that I could have checked out. That, and I know that they kept me here, and I'm just really grateful that they did keep me here. So that's just for me. Yeah.
That is interesting. I love it when you say, now I understand it better. When you say birth angels, they are our guardian angels because they come with us when we are born to this life.
Right. And I keep telling them kudos, and I sing a little song to them sometimes, staying alive, because they had their work cut out when they took on me. So, and they are the ones I believe, and I don't know, let me know how you feel, that maybe they do, an Archangel Azrael take you back to your heavenly home.
Yes, Archangel Azrael is known as the angel of death or
Mhm.
the angel of transition. And it is not just a physical transition, it is also as we are living, and we need to end one stage of our being,
Yes.
means in even in physical form. I need
Yes.
to say goodbye to the old version of me in order the new version comes. So Archangel Azrael comes even through the transition in our physical reality as well.
Soodabeh, were you the one that was telling me, somebody was telling me that when you do pass and transition, that your dogs and your animals come to you before humans, the spirituals.
And
Was
I
that
didn't say that, but they could. It depends
okay?
on what we understand or relate or communicate or perceive at the time that we are transitioning. I have many stories, and we are going to talk about those when I help some of my patients transition to the other side. But there are a lot of information these days that it wasn't available many, many years ago, like almost
Um,
30 years ago when I started my journey, that we can, there are a lot of stuff are on YouTube, on TikTok, on
yes.
everywhere that talk about, some people even videotape, have recording of the time that somebody that is transitioning, and they see their parents, for example, they see their
Yes.
grandparents, they see
Hmm.
their animals. It's
Hmm.
just a matter of perception, not about the matter of who comes first to greet us.
Well, I have asked my team, I said, hey, I want to go to the galaxies and the stars and I want to see creation. And then I want to see all my dogs and my cats. And then I want to see my loved ones. So
Of course.
I hope we can do that. Can you please tell us how angels communicate with humans and
Yes,
how
it
can we communicate back with them?
perfect question. Perfect question.
Yay.
The way that the angels spirit communicates with us is about how we receive those communication, because they are
Mhm.
constantly with us and guiding us, right? It part of it is the way that some people are feelers. For example, I always feel first, and then
Oh,
that's what one of the many stories in my book Angel Nightingale that I talk about, like how I could feel the presence of the angels when I was in the room with my patient, for example, that they were transitioning.
mhm.
And then sometimes an image comes to my head. So some people, especially that I'm a certified hypnotherapist, so I do hypnosis and do a lot of guided imagery to take people into a relaxing place so they can have their subconscious mind be open and receive the messages, intuition, and all of that. It depends on some people. Can, if I tell them, I had worked with clients that I said, imagine you are on the beach, and they tell me that they cannot imagine that for whatever reason, but they can see color. They
Oh,
cannot see, is a like, think
mhm.
about an ocean, for example, or think about the sun, think about the rain, and they cannot, but they see color. There is a color associated with that. So
Yes.
that's how people interpret or perceive the message or the guidance that comes to them. And some people, like here, a thought pops in their head. And
Yes.
again, I have a lot of stories about when there was a thought that popped in my head, and I thought that, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Mhm.
So everybody is different. They call it clairvoyance, claircognizance,
Yes.
clairaudience, and all of those four clairs that. So
Mhm.
people, for example, for me, when I started my journey, and I was like, but I am not you. Look, I cannot hear what you do. For example,
Mhm.
I would look at the other teachers and like, but I cannot do that. I cannot hear
Yes.
that. I cannot feel that.
Uh-huh.
Because is I am really grateful that you asked that question, because I want the people that they are watching this that know, however we perceive the information is the way that angels are communicating with us, and it is because we are created with the gift of free will. So unless that we decide, angels cannot intervene. They can guide us, they can communicate with us, but
Okay.
if we decide that no, I cannot hear my angel or feel them or see them, then we cannot understand how they are communicating with us.
I just figure if I ask for them, if I talk to them, that they're here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. That's, and I'm always grateful and thanking them for coming and asking for protection from Archangel Michael. And yeah, I just figure they're there. They can hear
Yes.
me and they can't intervene at all in our human affairs, can they?
And they cannot unless is a time untimely transition, untimely death, because something that you understand that I know, and I experience a lot of life and death situations.
Yes.
And I felt when I was on my spiritual awakening and journey, I realized why every time I talk about it, I get goosebumps, why my life was saved over and over and over again. I couldn't have been living here with all the traumas and near death experiences and everything that I experienced. But they saved me for a purpose. That purpose is I am here right now and I'm speaking and I'm bringing the message of hope and healing and peace and all of that. So it wasn't my time to transition yet.
Yeah. No.
Not yet. And on those times, they intervene because, like, no, Soodabeh, you are not done yet.
You got stuff to do.
Don't go anywhere, baby.
Yeah. You're hanging here.
You
Yeah.
are here.
Well, don't you feel it's an honor to help someone transition?
Absolutely. There is nothing more precious than I have experienced. And right now, because I am not doing that, because I'm not working in a hospital or the setting that I work with the patients that they are transitioning. And part of me will always honor that, and part of me always miss that part, because we can talk about it, that how it felt like, but
Hmm.
it is such a beautiful feeling that I would never forget at the moment.
Oh yeah, I think that would be so fulfilling
Yeah.
to be able to help them. Yeah. So if we want to talk to our angels, do we have to do certain things or can we just call upon them? How do you suggest people get started in talking to their angels?
It is as easy as asking, and as easy as this part may be not easy for some people, because I had my own resistance about it, is
Mm,
how we are willing to receive the messages, and how much we are willing to take the actions that they are asking us to do, the steps that they are telling us you need to go there. Or, for example, Karen, you need to start your podcast, for example, right?
I know.
Because you thought, like, I never thought, I would think about that, but
No,
you
ever.
followed it.
Yeah.
So it is possible. It's as easy as our free will to decide. And then we can do that. When I started, my journey started with about 37 years ago, when
Hmm.
I had a vision of my brother's death the day that he passed away. And I didn't even, at that moment that I had that vision, I didn't
Hmm.
even know that he was gone already. And
When you say
it,
vision, did you see your brother?
I was a nurse. I am from Iran. I guess that I didn't explain that. And I was in Iran waiting to come to America. And my brother was working on his passport so he can take me and my two children, they were
Hmm.
young, to Turkey, to American embassy, so I can get my passport and come to America. And the day that he passed away, I was a nurse. I am a nurse. I came back from work, and my daughter was about 2.5 years old. And I was holding her in my arms, soothing her to sleep, because that was the only, she was a fussy girl, a fussy kid. And I had to hold her so she
Hmm.
can feel that peace and safety for her to fall asleep. And in the moment that I felt like I fell asleep, I dozed off and I saw a dead body of a man. And the reason I knew that it was a man, because he had a receding hairline. And
Okay.
at that time, my husband lived in America. He had a receding hairline. So the
Uh-oh.
shock of what
Hmm.
I saw, it just literally, I opened my eyes and like, what is that? What did I see? And I knew that it was a dead body, because it was, I mean, he was not breathing, and it was just like somebody sleeping, somebody that was closed eyes and sleeping. And I thought, oh my God, it must have meant that my husband has died. And it was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon after my work. I didn't know that my brother passed away in a car accident at 10 o'clock in the morning that day.
And that's when you received the message, was earlier that
that
day.
that's how. And he already was gone, he already crossed over. The majority of people, spiritual people, when they say that it is too early for the spirit to come and communicate with us the moment that they pass their transition, because it is going to take time. But for me, whatever that was, I felt later on, I understood it, that my brother came to me to tell me that, Soodabeh, you are on your own, I can't help you. And I get goosebumps every time I
Mhm.
feel that, because I was waiting for him to get his passport to take me to Turkey, and it didn't happen. So that is actually the first chapter, the first story in my first book that people read and understand that what happened after that. That we are not going to talk about my book, of course, but that is how it happened, my vision. And it took me many years to come to America and go through. My marriage ended, and I was left alone with two young kids, no money, no
Oh
family, no
gosh.
friends, and I
Oh.
couldn't even speak English. And I was thinking that my life wasn't worth living, and I tried to end my life, but obviously I failed. And I was referring to that
Mhm.
untimely, transition. And then I started, like, in the back of my mind, like, why did I saw what I saw? Why did I saw what I saw? And the
Yeah.
more that we question, the more that we search for the answer, whatever the answer is. I will come from work and here, and I would turn on TV, and they were like talk shows talking about spiritual books. And I would go and, like, I want to know more. I want to know
I
more,
hear you.
right? And
Hmm.
that is how, and the spirit, that is how angels, they guide us, they help us to, these. And then it was up to me to see, no, I don't want to read that book, or whatever the excuse I wanted to, because the gift of free will. But for me was, I wanted to know, because I asked, and that was the answer. And that was how my angels were talking to me, but I couldn't hear
Hmm.
them, like, oh, somebody outside of me is telling me.
Right.
They were
Yes.
guiding me to that.
Well, I tend to, your brother came to you right away, and
Hmm.
other people think it's too early. But I
Hmm.
know when my husband passed, he came
Hmm.
immediately. He came immediately to give me some comfort.
Hmm.
And I had another friend who had cancer, and her days were coming to an end. And she came the day before she passed
Right.
to visit me.
Right.
She knew she was going to go, and she was coming to say goodbye. And she looked fabulous. She looked happy and healthy and really well. And the
Yes.
funny thing about it is, she told me, because she didn't have the same belief system as I did. She
Hmm.
said, once you go to heaven, you stay in heaven. You're not going anyplace else. And I said, nah, you'll come visit me. You won't have to be right. And and it was good to see. I'm glad she came, and she's come many times since then. So that's really nice. And I'm sure a lot of people want to open up those abilities, and you teach that too, don't
Hmm.
you?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I teach how to connect with the angels, how to connect with the loved ones on the other side, and how to understand the messages. Because the messages come in a form of, you're listening on a radio, for example, and the song comes that reminds you of your father, your mother, your best
Mhm.
friend, your husband, your loved ones. And, like, that in that moment, your loved
Oh
one
gosh.
is speaking to you in that moment. Or when we are watching a movie and something comes and you feel that the presence. And it's, I can talk about this for days and days. And I love teaching that, because when we have walls as human, right, we have walls.
Yes.
Every time we
Hmm.
experience something, we get another wall, we disconnect. My angels were, a while back, they were telling me that the very moment that we disconnect with the source, with our angels, with the spirit, is the moment that we are born, the pain of being born, and we disconnect with the source. So as we go through life, then we have lessons that And
Yes.
we are always at any given moment, we are on crossroads. Which direction you are going to choose to go? Are you going to go through the direction of light and believing that you are able to communicate with your loved ones, or are you going to be in that mentality that it is not possible for you? So it is possible.
So when people come to those crossroads, how can you encourage them which road to take? Is there a way to do that using our angels?
We have to, again, because we have a gift of free will, they need to want that. I
Mhm.
cannot make someone, even with hypnosis, and I cannot hypnotize someone to achieve a result that subconsciously or however belief that they have that they are not able to. I'm going to say something very simple, like I love chocolate, for example. I'm just giving an example, like, and I
And if
like
you don't,
chocolate.
there's something wrong with you.
Exactly, exactly. So if I somebody comes and say, hey, I am eating chocolate and I am diabetic, it is really hard for me, but I want to see hypnotize me so I don't have to have the craving for chocolate. If they don't want to get that rid of that desire, there is no amount of hypnosis I can do to fix that. They need to
Oh,
want it. They need to really, really want that.
okay.
It's the same when we want to communicate with our loved ones. We may have fears, and it is okay. But I had that fear. As a child, we would sit with my cousins and we would talk about ghost stuff. And now, as a grown up woman, you're telling me to talk with angels. Are these angels or are they ghosts? You pick. So I can go into the fear of, if I start, because this is a valid fear that many have, if I open myself to communicating with angels
Hmm.
and the spirit world, there are going to be demons or evils or negativity is going to come. I promise you, from where I am and where I am sitting and where I
Yes.
am believing, I have never encountered any negative being to enter into my life. The reason is
Hmm.
because the moment that I'd like, okay, angels, God, I do not want to see anything that is not for my highest good. And I
Right.
always connect with the light beings. And I always invite the light beings. I always connect myself, ask Archangel Michael to protect me, to
Yes.
protect my home, to protect my family, to protect
Hmm.
everything. And when I believe, I really do believe, the moment that I ask and that protection is being offered to me, then I don't let anything that is not for my highest good or for the highest good of the world to come play with me. So that is one of the fears that many people have.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
religious, being religious, I'm not saying that being a religious person is a bad thing, but
No.
I'm saying that that is how society teaches us. That is how we learn from our culture, from our family, that being open to connecting with God, with source, with universe, with angels is going to open the door for negative energy entity to come in. But we have control and we can avoid that and just go into the light.
Because I know there can be prankster spirits and trickster
Yes,
spirits.
yes,
And I just figure I don't invite that. My vibe is
yes,
too high. I don't
exactly.
focus on that. I focus on the greater good. Yeah. But I could see that being fearful for some people too.
Absolutely. I was scared. I was scared as well when I started my,
Hmm.
I'm like, ooh, what? So I'm like, and then I learned how to protect my energy, how to rise above the reality, lower energy vibrations, and that's
Right.
how I teach people how to
Mhm.
rise. There is always a balance of dark and light, right? And
Right.
darkness means the absence of light. When we
Yes.
focus on something that is a being of light and love, dark cannot exist
Hmm.
because our focus is
Is
light.
right. Okay. I think you need to come on again another time to talk about your book too, because that sounds amazing. And perhaps we can talk about the book in the class also.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so another time I'd like to do that because I think it would take a while to do that. Would you agree?
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Are there any other things you want to say about angels that I missed that people need to hear?
Yes, is just angels are being of light and love, and they are the being of unconditional love. The thing that we learn before the age of 6 and 7, because our subconscious mind shapes, because our babies before the age of 7, our brain is trying to absorb like a sponge,
Yes.
absorbing everything, the thoughts, what we see, what we observe, and we interpret to something. So, but when we start opening ourselves to that beautiful beings of light and love, then we change, because I am not who I was before that. I used to believe that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough. All the enoughness I was not. And I like myself. I love myself. I believe I am worthy. I believe I'm deserving. And that's the
Mhm.
whole purpose of why it is so important to connect with the angelic realm, to understand that we are abundant, we are wealthy, we are
Mhm.
healthy. Well being is for us, all the joy and the peace. And actually, this morning in my meditation, I was getting messages about, like, right now, if you look at the reality that it is on everywhere, about where we are as a nation and where we are in the world, if we look at that we go into that lower energy.
Oh, yes,
In
I know. Hmm.
Yes, and in the beginning of my journey, my angels guided me to stop listening to news, any kind of news. And
Hmm.
that's what I did. I eliminated that out of my life, because what do we hear in the news every day? And not right now at this moment, in the past, every time, it's always somebody robbed somebody killed somebody. It's all
Yes.
about, if we never hear that somebody did a good deed, somebody did an act of kindness. It's not about that. So in order to protect our energy, we have to bypass this lower energy of what we see, what we hear, physically, and say, I am gonna hold myself in a bubble of gold light to
Hmm.
raise my vibration. The
Hmm.
more that we get afraid, the more that we need to go into our cocoon and feel the vibration of light, the vibration of unconditional love of the source. And that is why it is so important for us. And that is the message.
So people can learn how to raise their vibrations.
Yes.
You have been fascinating. That
Thank
just
you,
absolutely
Karen.
fascinating. And I'm so glad that you joined us today. And I think we're going to be seeing more of you. And I thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, thank you. And